suggested it by a friend. It's not your classic fantasy in terms of high fantasy with medieval style swords, axes, big battles, magic's, epic fantasy. It's a really lovely, well-written fantasy about a pirate type character, Robin Hood style, who thieves, but I don't think he gives it to the poor. He keeps it. Let's read the back and go from there. I can't remember everything. Book 1 of the Gentleman Bastard sequence. The Thorn of Gomorrah is said to be an unbeatable swordsman, a master thief, a friend to the poor, a ghost that walks through walls. Slightly built and barely competent with a sword, Loch Lamora is, much to his annoyance, the fabled Thorn. And while Loch does indeed steal from the rich, who else would be worth stealing from? The poor never see a penny. Okay? All of Loch's gains is strictly for himself and his tight-knit band of thieves, the Gentleman Bastards. The capricious, colourful underworld of the ancient city of Gomorrah is the only home they've ever known. But now a clandestine war is threatening to tear it apart. Caught up in a murderous game, Locke and his friends are suddenly struggling just to stay alive. So, what do I remember about this book? If you've seen my other videos, you'll know now. Probably not a lot. It's part of a 3-part series. It is, look at the cover. So, yeah, picture 1800s. That style, I would say. Or 1700s maybe. Pirate ships, there's magic involved, but I can't remember what. I remember it flowing really well. The next books in the series, if not get better, they at least are as good. I remember a bad guy. Wait, what was that? Am I thinking of another book? There's at least one decent. There's always a decent villain, but he's a well-written one. Yeah, 4.3 on Goodreads. I've given you nothing. It's what I'm good at. I'm good at suggesting it and nothing else. Some of the other books I'm going to talk about I've read more recently, so I actually remember them. But while I was looking up the Goodreads review number for this, I read that Patrick Rothfuss, who wrote The Name of the Wind, one of my favourite books, actually used to get compared to Scott Lynch because Scott Lynch published this 1 year before Patrick Rothfuss published The Name of the Wind, and so critics were saying, oh, Patrick Rothfuss is the new Scott Lynch, and he hated being called that until he read the book and liked it, met Scott Lynch, thought he was cool, reread the book years later and loved it. I thought that was really interesting. So if Patrick Rothfuss loves it, it's pretty high praise. If you haven't read The Name of the Wind, it's incredible. I can't remember if I've had it in a book suggestions video, but if I haven't, I will definitely add it to one of the upcoming ones. Someone recently said they wanted fingernails tapping on a book. So they ask and they shall receive. That took way long to talk about. Or maybe not. I don't know, my counter looks like I'm talking and rambling. It's very hot where I'm from at the moment, and I am going crazy. I have a hat because I didn't feel like fixing my hair because the heat just makes it go damp and floppy and flat, so if I am a bit crazy, it is meltingly hot at the moment. So, this is book 2 that we'll talk about. You have to remind me, have I talked about this yet? The Rage of Dragons. this is number 2. Let me get my head out of the way so it draws focus there. The Fires of Vengeance. I can't wait for book 3. Why is there lots of action, you say? Or maybe you don't. But I will read a screenshot blurb from the web because the back doesn't really say anything. It's just got a lot of people reviewing it, which I don't like on a blurb. I wanted to say what's going on. I don't care what other people say. I want to hear from the author. Let's read. Book triggers while my phone is slow. Okay, The Waking Fire. No, that's another one we'll talk about. Here we go. The Omehi people. So it's kind of based off of like African tribes. Like it's fantasy, so it's not set on Earth, but different cool tribes that would have been inspired, no doubt, from Africa. The Omehi people have been fighting an unwinnable fight for almost 200 years. Their society has been built around war and only war. The lucky ones are born gifted. 1 in every 2,000 women has the power to call down dragons. 1 in every 100 men is able to magically transform himself into a bigger, stronger, faster killing machine. Everyone else is fodder, destined to fight and die in the endless war. Young, giftless Tao knows all this, but he has a plan of escape. He's going to get himself injured, get out early, and settle down to marriage, children, and land. Only he doesn't get the chance. Those closest to him are brutally murdered, and his grief swiftly turns to anger. Fixated on revenge, Tao dedicates himself to an unthinkable path. He'll become the greatest swordsman to ever live, a man willing to die 100,000 times for the chance to kill the 3 who betrayed him. Again, apologies for the background, it's very noisy. So the back of, well, the blurb I read from on my phone, it gave some away without you really knowing what's going on. The main character, Tao, when he goes on this path of vengeance, he becomes unstoppable in the coolest way ever. I won't say how he trains over and over again to become better. And by the way, I'm saying this and I swear I've done this in another reviews video, so apologies again for that if that's true. I cannot say how he gets better because it's too cool and you can discover it when you read the book. But as that reading said, 1 in 100 people are bigger, stronger. They're like berserkers, pretty much. They're in the sense of being incredibly gifted. Strength. He doesn't have that, so he has to overcome that to become the best. And the bigger, stronger guys look down on the little ones. Classic natural selection, whatever. Until they learn otherwise, until he becomes the biggest boss ever. There's dragons involved. Hence, they said, what was it? 1 in 2,500 women has the power to call dragons. And at the moment, there's a massive war going on. And the enemies are numerous, and they might have other magic, but I don't believe they have dragons. That's kind of like the good guys' way of surviving, of using these dragons to help conquer their enemies. I don't know what else to say because I don't remember everything. This is rereadable. I need to read it soon. It is so good. That's all I need to say. Tons of cool fighting. Good characters. I forget if it's first person or if there's multiple characters. Viewpoints. I feel like it's only Tao. I feel like it's like just the one guy you follow. says towel. Let's go to this page. Towel. Let's go to this page. Towel. Yeah, he's on every page, so I believe you're just following him. He screws someone over at the start, and then they become. They're not a bad guy, but they're not a good guy. Welcome to my channel. I know nothing, but I still tell you to read it. Let me give you some ASMR sounds and I'll shut up. Okay. Guess what? The next book. I can't remember much of what goes on. It is Blackwing by Ed McDonald. 3-book series. We have Crowfall and Ravencry, and the other 2 books in the series. So that's 3 books, right? Not too big, not too over the top. 3 of those. I just showed you 2 others. You can see these a little bit skinnier than other fantasies, which I like. Sometimes it's good to have something that fits in your backpack to go to work. My commute to work has changed from driving in to busing, so now I've started reading on the bus, so I like the idea of something a little lighter to carry. Blackwing by Ed McDonald. It gets 4.1 on Goodreads. One of the best books of the year. What year was that? 1800s? No. 2017. Let's read the blurb. The Raven's Mark, Book 1. Only 3 kinds of people willingly enter the misery: the desperate, the stupid, and the greedy. The misery is a wasteland, a dangerous, corrupted frontier between the Republic and the Deep Kings. When traitors, thieves, and spies try to flee, they run for the misery, and often as not, it's Captain Royal Calhara's job to bring them to heel beneath the fractured skies. Provided they haven't already fallen prey to the twisted creatures that inhabit the shifting, polluted sands. It's a deadly place, even for a man of Calhara's experience. But it's a necessary place, because the Republic's only other defense against the Deep Kings is Nell's engine, a weapon of incomparable power that protects the wasteland's border. And that final defense may have just failed. Dun dun dun. Reading the back of that, it's funny, I don't remember much about this book, So I read this probably as soon as it came out. I always seem like an idiot that I don't remember anything, but is anyone else out there like me that reads a book and can't really, for the life of them, remember the characters? I just read too much. Yeah. I read Animal Farm recently. First time ever I mentioned it in another video that I would read it, and I did. And I'm now reading 1984. What do you think of George Orwell? I think he's different. I'm quite enjoying it. Definitely not my usual style. Anyway, moving on. The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan. Oh, I like that sound. So Anthony Ryan, we have talked about him before. I don't think we talked about this one, I hope not. We've talked about should be behind me, guys. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? The Martyr. Is that the first one? No, the Pariah. Come on. There you go. So, I've talked about this one before. Anthony Ryan, look up one of my previous reviews for one of the best series ever. I don't know about ever, but it's up there. It's amazing. So Anthony Ryan's done that. He's done 3 other series I know of, including this one. His first ever trilogy, something Wolf, Call of the Wolf, or whatever, was pretty good. And as I've said in another video, his series just get better and better. This one is really cool. What makes this one cool? Well, I'm going to do my usual read the back, or I've got to screenshot the blurb and then we'll go from there. Okay. Because like the other book, this one just has a bunch of reviews. I couldn't care less. I want the blurb. Yada yada yada. Fans of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, George R. Martin, blah blah blah. Okay. Throughout, put it behind us so you can kind of see the book while I talk. Throughout the vast lands controlled by the Iron Ship Syndicate, nothing is more prized than the blood of drakes, harvested from the veins of captive or hunted reds, green, blues, and blacks. It can be distilled into elixirs that give fearsome powers to the rare men and women who have the ability to harness them, known as the blood blessed. But not many know the truth, that the lions of Drake's awakening, if they fail, war with the neighbouring Corventine Empire will follow swiftly. The Syndicate's last hope resides in whispers of the existence of another breed of Drake, far more powerful than the rest, and the few who have been chosen by fate to seek it. Claydon Creek is a petty thief and an unregistered blood blessed who finds himself pressed into service by the Protectorate and sent to wild, uncharted territories in search of a creature he believes is little more than legend. Lizane Lethridge is a formidable spy and assassin, facing gravest danger on an espionage mission deep into the heart of enemy territory, and Corrick Islemore is the second lieutenant of an iron ship whose pursuit of ruthless brigands leads him to a far greater threat at the edge of the world. As lives and empires clash and intertwine, as the unknown and the known collide, all three must fight to turn the tide of a coming war or drown in its wake. receive different powers is something I haven't heard of before in a series. If you have, let me know. When it's not this one, there's another two. It might be in my other room. There we go. Empire of Ashes and Legion of Flames. Now, I just want to see if I'm getting I'm pretty sure I'm not getting mixed up with another series where I believe the iron ships are flying ships. But maybe I'm thinking of another series on my mind. And the guys that control them are bad. Is that right? Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that and you guys can tell me if there's another series. Yeah, super interesting. Epic fantasy in a way. I can't remember if there's massive battles in it, but just well written. Anthony Ryan does not get worse, he gets better. And this was his second or third series. Second. His first was Raven's Shadow Blood Song, nothing to do with a wolf. Maybe his third book was the one, third series is the one to do with the wolf. All I can say is just check it out, guys. It's good. It's a good series. Got my friend onto it and he loved it. Okay. Let's put those back. We might as well put him back too. And why not? He can fit there. There's a gap right there. Why is there a gap? Why is there a gap? It's because I'm going to talk about the first of that series. The Grey Bastards. By Jonathan French. I think that's a cool cover. Why do I like this book? That's a good question. For starters, how many of it? Oh well, very close. My recording stopped. My ring light fell. Onto my laptop. Anyway, everything's back together. Why do I like this book? Before I even read it, the first thing I heard was, this is Sons of Anarchy meets Orcs meets fantasy. And it's kind of exactly like that. Not many books, I think that's what I was going to say, not many books have Orcs as their main character, at least the ones I read. So that was refreshing. I'm used to it being humans, maybe sometimes elves, the odd dwarf, but normally humans, so orcs, good, different, we like. What makes these orcs different? Why are they the good guys? So in this book, the full-grown orcs are the bad ones, and these are the half-breeds. The half-breeds are the good ones. The orcs will have raiding parties, and they'll come across and steal women or men. I can't remember if they steal both. And they'll, do the business, and they end up with half-orcs. Now the half-orcs can be either a thrice blood, which means they're 3 parts orc, 1 part human, or twice blood. I can't remember if it's called twice blood. No, they don't call it Once Blood. I just remember Thrice Blood being like the strongest half orc. Good guy. And why is it like Sons of Anarchy? Because they ride warthogs. But the way they describe it, it's literally like a bunch of dudes. Sorry about the noise. Getting on there like warthogs, and yeah. It's brash and crass, and it is what you would expect from a bunch of dudes hanging out in a bar that are inappropriate. And yeah, I'm just gonna pause it for a minute because of the background noise. Sorry. Sorry guys, it's been non-stop. Today's a weird one. And now I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, we've talked a bit about it. Yeah, Sons of Anarchy meets fantasy, truly. Very, very boyish. Let's read the back. Jackal is proud to be a grey bastard, member of a sworn brotherhood of half-orcs. Unloved and unwanted in civilized society, the bastards eke out a hard life in the desolate no-man's land called the Lots, protecting frail and noble human civilization from invading bands of vicious, full-blooded orcs. But on the heels of the ultimate betrayal, Jackal will start to question where his true loyalties lie. Betrayal, what's going on there? So you have the full-blood orcs, you have the half-orcs, and you have the humans. I'm falling apart here. Sorry. You have the humans that are protected because the half-orcs are in between them and the orcs, so they don't have to stress. The half-orcs are the ones that are always fighting back the full orcs, and the half-orcs have a bunch of different bands, and then they all don't like each other. And there's a lot of history. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I had a late one last night. Whoops. Too old for this. For that. Yeah. Look, it's good. It's different. If you, considering we just celebrated International Women's Day last week, it does not support women well. So, it might not be for you. It's not anti-women exactly. It's just very, yeah, boys and booze and sex and yeah, on their warthogs. And yet it made for a good read. What did it get? It gets 4.07, so that's not bad. Something to think about. I'm losing the plot today. I hope you guys are fine with all the rambling. If you want book suggestions and you think I'm just a bit all over the shop in this video, I do have 4 other book suggestion videos that are, well, probably still as unhinged, but pretty good. My mother the other day, she's like, I'm like, Mum, you're talking to yourself. And she's like, well, you do that all the time in front of your camera. Burn. That's like me right now going crazy and chatting about whatever and getting sidetracked. How savage by my mother though. Mum, I'm creating YouTube's videos. It's important. Sorry, just saw one of my boots is dented. That's annoying. Back to the video. Okay, last video. Last book. This is Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson. This was in my book triggers video recently. I promised that I would add it into this video like the Lies of Locklamore. It gets 3.92 on Goodreads. a style that is very descriptive, long-winded at times. Many characters to learn. And if you've read The Wheel of Time, if you've read Terry Goodkind, if you've read George R. Martin, you will know what you're getting yourself into with this series. But I read it all, and I liked it for the most part. I think those big series I just sometimes get a bit exhausted, but The Wheel of Time will always be number one, as I always say. But I'll still try all the rest. Let's read the book. Starts off an astounding debut as the potential to become a defining work. Well, that's from years ago. Did it become a defining work? Sure, let's say it did. First written in 1999, sure. Bled dry by interminable warfare, infighting, and bloody confrontations with Lord Anomander Rake, the Malazan Empire simmers with discontent. Its legions yearn for some respite. For Sergeant Whiskey Jack and his bridge burners and Tata Sail, surviving sorceress of the Second Legion, the aftermath of the siege of Bale should have been a time to mourn the dead. But Empress Lassine's gaze has fallen upon Darujistan, for this ancient citadel, last of the free cities of Genabacchus, still holds out against her. However, the Empire is not alone in this great game. Sinister forces are gathering as the gods themselves prepare to play their hand. I can't remember much. Who would have thought? Tons of characters. Yeah, interesting magic. I think there's goblins involved, humans, of course, but there's a few different races. I can't remember them. I did enjoy it. But yeah, if you really love escapism in its truest form of immersing into a giant world, this is it for you. If you're like me, where you're really struggling to find a series, and so finding a big series is good because then you're like, I don't have to try and find another one. I can sit on this for books and books. This is a good choice. It gets 3.92, but I'm sure the books as they go along probably go up in rating as the true fans stick with it. So try and get through the first one. If you like it, keep going. If you don't. Get it from your local library if you want to not risk buying it. It definitely didn't grow on it grew on me. It didn't encapsulate me straight away. Whatever the word is. But yeah, give it a go. 3.92. Today's been a weird one, guys. I'm normally a bit all over the shop, but not this much. I think it's just been so warm lately. I'm so drained from the heat that my brain is fried, and I never know the books at the best of times, even though I read them. Yeah, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Go watch other videos for better ones. At the end of the day, that's why I call them suggestions. Even if someone came onto this video and just wrote down the 6 books and walked away, I wouldn't mind, because they got those ideas from me and they can go read them. You don't have to watch all of this video. Anyone that's still here at the end, congratulations. There's probably 3 of you. But yeah, the majority of people, if they skip and just get each book title, it's all that matters. I just want to give you guys ideas, because I love reading and I love sharing book ideas and just talking about series ways of talking. They're so special.